Stunner indeed, Kelly. Now at exit interviews after they were swept by the Thunder in the first round, Grizzlies GM Zach Kleiman was asked if their big three of Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Bane was good enough to compete for championships. While he was complimentary of them in the moment, today we found out the answer was clearly no. Bane is headed to the Sunshine State. The Grizzlies got a haul in return. The highlight of the deal, 4 unprotected first-round picks, including the 16th pick in this year's draft, and the option to pick swap with the Suns or Wizards in next year's draft, which has the potential to be a very high pick. Memphis also lands 12-year vet Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's been a key piece on championship teams with both the Lakers and Nuggets since 2020, and point guard Cole Anthony, who averaged just under 10 points per game last season. Bane will go down as one of the best draft picks in Grizzlies franchise history. The 30th pick in the 2020 draft went on to average over 18 points per game in 4 of his 5 seasons in Memphis and leaves with the 3rd most three-point makes as a Grizzly as well. I can tell you, I do not think this is the last big move of the offseason for the Grizzlies. Far from it. Well, more coming up in sports, and I've got plenty of thoughts to share coming up tonight at 10. Kelly?
All right, looking forward to that. Now, turning our focus to weather. When it was a hot and muggy Sunday across the Mid-South, not the ideal weather to celebrate dads, father figures today. Let's check in with our Action News 5 meteorologist Eric Brill with your first alert forecast. Some dads like the hot weather, right?
I'd say that's probably a fair assumption, Kelly. They're probably used to it, if nothing else, because we saw our temperatures here in the middle to upper 80s and even a few lower 90s. But I have a feeling even today's warmth isn't going to be as hot as some of the takes that Matt Infield's going to have later on tonight. So you have to tune in at 10 o'clock for that. But as far as what we have for temperatures right now, 91 in Mariana, 88 in Somerville, 87 in Memphis, 86 in Corinth. Pretty consistent numbers across the board. I have a feeling that wind marker there, that might be running just a tick cooler than what reality is into Wynne, Arkansas. Clouds and radar, tell you what, we've been pretty lucky throughout the day. Haven't really seen a whole heck of a lot of activity. There are a couple of small little showers into northeastern Dyer County. I will say I will be monitoring kind of central Arkansas as a whole here for some development. You can kind of see some little things starting to bubble up there. Futurecast, it's overdone right now. Let's be clear about that as far as the initialization of it. But it does hint at least some showers and storms moving into northeast Arkansas and potentially the rest of the Mid-South here as we move from Sunday night into Monday morning. I'll talk more about this and that work week forecast, which does look hot, with your first alert forecast coming up here at about 5:16. Kelly Cook, back over to you.
All new tonight, Memphis police are investigating 2 related shootings Saturday night where 2 teens and a man were injured. The first shooting happened just before 8 p.m. in the 400 block of East Norwood Avenue. A 27-year-old man was found on the front step with gunshot wounds. He was taken to Regional 1 Hospital in critical condition. Officers then found a 15-year-old boy nearby who was also suffering from a gunshot wound. He was also sent to Regional 1 in critical condition. Police then found a 14-year-old boy with a gunshot wound on Jacqueline Avenue. He was taken to Le Bonheur in non-critical condition. Memphis police are also investigating a shooting that left 1 man dead. Police say the shooting happened just before 6 a.m. on Gators Park Lane near Crump Boulevard. Police say the man was pronounced dead at the scene. So far, no arrests have been made, but if you know anything, of course, call Crime Stoppers 901-528-CASH. MPD investigating a crash that left 2 people injured. MPD says at 1:20 in the morning, officers came to a crash at Covington Pike and Elmore Road. Officers say a car hit 2 men on motorcycles, and they were taken to Regional 1 Hospital in critical condition. Officers say the driver of the car did not stay on the scene. So far, no arrests have been made, and the cause of the crash still under investigation. New details are coming out on this shooting that happened early this morning. Officers found a woman shot just before 1 a.m. at 717 North White Station Road. The woman was taken to Regional 1 Hospital in critical condition. Officers were told a man and a woman left the scene in a Kia. Then around 6 in the morning, officers found the car in the 600 block of Joseph Pett Lane. Officers detained the man and woman. No word on any arrests or charges at this time. Developing tonight, a man is dead after an early morning house fire. The Memphis Fire Department confirms a man died in a house fire in the East Memphis area. According to MFD, the fire happened just after 2 o'clock this morning at Dunn Avenue and Mary Crest Road. MFD says the fire was accidental and it started in the living room. As firefighters searched through the rubble, one man was found and was pronounced dead.
Most likely, man, we got a lot of homeless people around here, man. They probably in there, you know, ain't no telling, man, trying to keep warm or cook or, you know, worst case scenario, you know what I'm saying? They probably, man, fell asleep and dropped a cigarette or something. Ain't no telling, man.
Yeah.
You know, didn't nobody supposed to be there. It's been vacant like for years.
Memphis Fire says the estimated damage to the building is $44,000. A manhunt is ongoing in Minnesota for the man police say is suspected of shooting and killing a state lawmaker and her husband Saturday. Police also believe the suspect shot and seriously wounded a second lawmaker and his spouse. The FBI is now offering up to $50,000 in reward money for any information leading to the whereabouts of the suspect, 57-year-old Vance Belter. Jen Sullivan is tracking the very latest.
Flowers and handwritten notes left outside the Minnesota state capitol as the North Star State mourns the loss of State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark. They were murdered in their home early Saturday morning in what Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said appeared to be a politically motivated assassination. Minnesota leaders remembering Hortman as a loving mom and dedicated public servant.
Melissa Hortman is the most incredible person that I wish everyone in the nation knew her. Went into politics with little kids. That's how I got to know her. We have both moms in politics, taught Sunday school, Girl Scout leader, balanced all of it.
The suspect, 57-year-old Vance Belter. Police also believe he's responsible for shooting State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette multiple times in their home in Champlin, Minnesota, a suburb of Minneapolis.
The last information we had is that he was out of surgery and was in stable condition at that time.
Police say Belter was dressed like a police officer when they found him outside of Hortman's home in Brooklyn Park. Authorities say he fired a weapon at police before running away, triggering a manhunt.
There may be other people with him, and we would like to speak to anybody that may have had contact with him.
Even more disturbing, police say they found what they believe to be a manifesto inside his car with nearly 70 names, including lawmakers and abortion providers, as well as No Kings flyers referring to anti-Trump protests.
There will come a time down the road for healing within us as a community, but right now I think what's required is a calming words and rhetoric.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
The weather conditions around the Mid-South have been pretty cooperative throughout the day, despite the fact we did have a cold front move through the region. Not that it really provided too much cold air, but there are still some showers meandering around the Mid-South. More on that with the First Alert forecast in a few minutes.
But first, fathers helping uplift young men after losing their own kids to violence. How one organization is helping turn pain into empowerment. Young people in Mississippi hit the basketball court to show off their skills, but many of their stories go far beyond the court. Chris Fields shares how one foundation is helping fathers empower young men who have lost someone to some form of violence.
As they dribble their way through the courts, dozens of teenagers are left to juggle through life without those they love. The event was themed The End Zone Beyond the Court's Father's Day Jam and was held at the Arc Sports Complex. It was sponsored by the Grant Me Justice Foundation, who is dedicated to supporting families of homicide victims.
I lost my son back in 21. Against gun violence.
As each father recounts the year they lost their son.
We lost him August 8, 2020, and it's been hard.
They say it's important to come out and empower the youth to turn their pain into passion and avoid retaliation.
Well, we're trying to make a difference because even though you lose somebody, you still have somebody that loves you, and try to get them to do something besides going into the streets doing something wrong too.
After a game of basketball, the young people were wowed by a power session from Jackson State University's associate head coach, Otis Ridley.
Yeah, we've seen over the years that Jackson has been the #1 in regards to per capita homicide. And so what I see in ministering and talking with families of every day, most of them have not seen anyone arrested for the crimes that have been committed. I feel like it's a community problem, and I think that the whole entire community is impacted, and therefore I believe that it's going to take all of us in order to reduce that crime rate.
The event also included one-on-one sessions with fathers and some of the youth who are still dealing with trauma.
All right, coming up next, from President Trump heading to the northern border to lawmakers working out his big, beautiful bill. It's a busy week in the nation's capital. Ryan Henson has more next.
Portion of Action News 5 brought to you by Shelby County Sheriff's Office, now hiring corrections deputies. You're watching Action News 5 at 5.
President Donald Trump heads north of the border while the U.S. Senate continues working on the president's big, beautiful bill. And TikTok's days may be numbered. Washington correspondent Ryan Henson has a look at your week ahead in Washington.
President Donald Trump will be in Canada for this week's G7 summit at a resort in Alberta. It's his first visit to our northern neighbor during his second term. Now, Trump has angered Canadians by imposing tariffs on Canadian goods and talking about annexing the country, making it the 51st state. Back here in the U.S., only half of Congress is in Washington this week. While the House is out on recess, all eyes on the Senate as it works on Trump's budget, or as he calls it, one big beautiful bill. The legislation includes more money for the military and border security and controversial cuts to Medicaid and food assistance programs. Also this week, TikTok on the clock. Thursday is the deadline for the Chinese company ByteDance to sell the platform, or it will have to go dark in the U.S. Trump has signed 2 previous extensions. He could sign another one ahead of the deadline. We'll just have to wait and see. Critics warn TikTok users' personal information is vulnerable as long as ByteDance retains ownership of the app. Thursday is Juneteenth. The holiday celebrates the ending of slavery in the U.S. And that's your weekend in Washington. I'm Ryan Hinson.
And speaking of Juneteenth, next weekend is the 32nd annual Juneteenth Douglas Freedom Festival. This year's theme, Invest in Freedom, honoring women of color. It starts Friday, June 20th with a youth day at Douglas Park. On Saturday, there is a Juneteenth Douglas parade and the main festival weekend, which includes live music performances. It concludes on Sunday with a Women's Day ceremony. Eric Brill here now for a check of our Father's Day forecast.
I'm glad at least that the rain has held off for the vast majority of us throughout the day. That's always a good thing here, especially coming off the rain we saw last night and early yesterday morning. But as far as we have going on right now across the Mid-South, with the old clouds and radar, it's still pretty tame and it's still pretty quiet. So that bodes well. But I do think we will start to see more showers and thunderstorms return to the Mid-South after sunset tonight. Don't forget, this time of the year, sunset is at about 8:15. You know, it depends on obviously where you live, specifically when that is. And you'd actually be surprised from north to south and east to west how much that can vary over a relatively short distance. Although when it gets to be this time of the year, the variance isn't as great as when we're gaining and losing, minutes and, a large quantity of time rather quickly. Once we get closer to that summer solstice, it really does start to slow down as far as the quantity of time you do gain or lose, depending on which side you're on. Nonetheless, clouds and radar, still seeing a couple of those showers into northeastern Dyer County, a couple more showers that are near the Quitman and Panola County line, but overall, we're in pretty good shape. Did switch my mind on Futurecast here and kind of giving us a different one to roll with. And, well, this run of Futurecast here still tries to develop some showers and thunderstorms in central Arkansas. It does kick them to the east into northeast Arkansas. Notice some of those purples and reds that are embedded, deeper oranges. That's an indication of some heavier rain that will be around. I do think that it is a little bit overdone, but with that said, the general anticipation and the general forecast has been consistent that when those showers and storms get closer to northeast Arkansas tonight, they do start to fizzle out and then they kick up to the northeast here. So your first alert in Harrisburg, Mark Tree, Wynne, Arkansas, as well as Forest City, that is where we could be seeing a little bit in the way of heavier rain around. Maybe not so much in Ripley, Mississippi, Snow Lake Shores, Oxford, or even into Corinth, but the further you are to the northwest, the better chance there is of seeing some thunderstorms for tonight. Isolated showers and thunderstorms around west of the Mississippi River holds the best chance of seeing those storms. Temperatures will bottom out in the upper 60s and lower 70s. Nothing atypical for this time of the year. But here we go for Futurecast on Monday. Another day filled with cloudier skies, some scattered showers and thunderstorms. It's not going to be a washout of a day, but kind of like what I thought we were going to see today. The evening showers and thunderstorms do return to the Mid-South. Not expecting severe weather out of these, but we could see some stronger cells out of this as Monday does turn into Tuesday here. And finally, once we get past Tuesday morning, we're going to start to see some relatively drier conditions, except for Thursday, but we'll just disregard that until we get there. High temperatures for Monday. Look at this. Middle to lower 80s, 84 for Memphis, 82 in Ripley, Mississippi, 81 in Senatobia. This is below average by about 5 to 10 degrees, so it is going to be chilly for June standards across the Mid-South tomorrow, because remember, we should be in the upper 80s and lower 90s. Look at Tuesday, Wednesday. Rain chances finally start to come down. They do bump back up for Thursday, but then look at our temperatures. I don't know if these are Kelly Cook temperatures. These might start getting too hot here too soon. 92 degrees for Friday, 93 for Saturday, Sunday, 92 for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The humidity is going to climb on up. Here we go, Kelly. Summer starts here at 9:41 in the evening on Friday. Don't feel like it.
The most wonderful time of the year, Eric. Just saying. Hey, Matt's got a lot of sports news to talk about. Woo. He's coming up next. Stick around.
GMC Sports Desk is sponsored by GMC. We are professional grade.
What's up? What's happening? Welcome in. I slept in a little bit on this glorious Sunday. Woke up at like 10:25 or so. Thought I'd have a nice low-key day at work, kind of par for the course in the middle of June. And then I looked at my phone, and the very first thing I saw was my producer Ben, who's in the booth right now, asking me what I thought we should do about our coverage of the Desmond Bane trade, and that woke me up real quick. One of the Grizzlies' young stars is headed to the Sunshine State. Memphis dealing Bane to the Orlando Magic for a massive haul. Orlando's sending 4 unprotected first-round picks to the Grizzlies, including the number 16 pick this year, and a swap with either the Suns or Wizards in next year's draft. Both of those teams could be very bad next season. That could be a very valuable pick. The Beale Street Bears also get a pick swap and 2 players. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's been a key piece of title-winning teams with the Nuggets and Lakers in the last couple of years, and 25-year-old backup point guard Cole Anthony. Bane undoubtedly made his mark in 5 seasons in Memphis. He leaves as the Grizzlies' all-time leader in free throw percentage and 3rd in three-point makes. More on the trade, much more coming up tonight at 10. Meanwhile, if you're watching us on Action News 5 Plus or on our digital platforms right now, it's because the final round of the U.S. Open is happening on our main channel. And it's almost golf season here in Memphis. Under 2 months until the 2025 FedEx St. Jude Championship at TPC Southwind, a golf course that's undergone a major facelift since last August with a complete rebuild of all 18 green complexes and practice greens, along with the resurfacing of all tee boxes and tee complexes. It's the most extensive update in nearly 2 decades.
You got to crack some eggs to make an omelet, and we cracked some eggs out here. It was gross. I mean, we banged it up pretty good.
This omelet recipe, the most extensive update at TPC Southwind in 2 decades, with a complete rebuild of the green complexes on all 18 holes, tee boxes being resurfaced, and practice and putting greens getting a complete overhaul.
We weren't trying to fix a bad golf course. We were trying to make a good golf course better. We just updated the surfaces. So I think they'll see a big improvement in the quality of surfaces.
A big driver of the changes, feedback from the players themselves.
These guys play the best golf courses in the world every week, and so they know when a property's getting older, was getting a little long in the tooth. They know, and they saw that, and they were excited that it was being addressed. So they were very supportive about it.
With new greens on every hole, the course might play differently, but don't expect scores to fall off a cliff with players this good.
The greens will certainly play firmer. They're brand new, right? But these guys are the best in the world, and they've made it here for a reason, so hopefully they can respond to that.
All right, that's coming up in under 2 months. Got a little behind-the-scenes look there. Man, that Desmond Bane trade, though, lots of thoughts to think about all day, lots of things to write down. Tune in tonight at 10 for that.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what you think about that.
You woke up at 10:30? Come on, man.
Yeah.
I was in that group chat.
Ordering sleep score off the charts.
We'll see you back here tonight at 10 o'clock. Have a good rest of your evening.
Take the First Alert Weather Team wherever you go. Live radar, hour-by-hour forecasts, everything you need to help plan your day. Download the free First Alert Weather app today